Orange County IDA meeting for June 26th. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Bill to do the roll call, please.
Sure. Jeffrey Christ.
Here.
Dean Tambury.
Here.
Susan Walsky.
Here.
Mark Green.
Here.
4 board members in attendance. 3 are not present: Giovanni Palladino, Linda Muller, and Dr. Vincent Odock. For staff, we have myself, Bill Fioravanti, Kelly Rowley, Marty Barras. We have our general counsel, Susan Katzoff, via Zoom. Jose Rojas from Acquisitions Marketing doing our AV, and we have some guests, Mr. Anthony Bracco, our New York State Monitor from Anshin, and we have Katie Lancelotti, Erica Hackman, and Jane Samuelson from Vision Hudson Valley. Is that everybody? Okay.
And I would just point out the 4 board members that are here achieve a quorum.
Correct. Thank you.
So we can carry on business. Next item, I should say, approval of minutes from our May 15th, 2024 board meeting. Are there any additions, corrections to those minutes, which are in our board packet? Were also emailed to everybody last week.
Aye.
A motion to accept
I'll make that motion.
by Mark Green, second. Susan,
second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Moving on to chairman's report. If I counted right, it's been 6 weeks since our last meeting, so it's been a little while. I would say there's been a considerable discussion on the Fast New York project, but we're still ramping up the various aspects. Our consultant has done some work there. Maybe you'll elaborate a little bit more, Bill. So it is moving forward. The exact timeframes are a little bit up in the air still. I did attend 2 of the Orange County Partnership meetings. Most interestingly, well, I should say, Engineering Properties was recognized at the, what do they call that?
The MVP breakfast
Right.
for Orange County Partnership.
Congratulations.
Most valuable partner in
Sam.
economic development. It was Engineering Surveying Properties, Jane Samuelson,
Yep.
her husband Jay, and Russ Winglevitz, the principals there.
Yes, so that was very nicely attended, and also had some information about what's going on in Orange County and the sales tax revenue from the county executive and so forth. I also attended the quarterly project update, which was at City Winery, and it's pretty remarkable the number of potential projects that are looking seriously at Orange County. Some of them are related to renewable energy, offshore power, and in some cases, these potential projects are over $1 billion in development costs and buildings, so they're no joke for sure. And I continue to work with Bill in many aspects. It's been in some ways a little bit of a challenging month, but I'll turn it over for the president's report to Bill.
Perfect, thanks, Jeff. I will just touch on Fast New York as well. We have not gotten to the fun part. Of course, this is for seeking entitlements, approvals on the Aidenbrook Business Park property owned by Mr. Nick Fitzpatrick in Montgomery. Of course, we collaborated with OC Partnership on the application for that. Unfortunately, we're not at the fun part where we're spending money, or frankly, the owner is spending money to engineers, attorneys, etc., to move through that entitlement process, because we're still working on a memorandum of understanding between the property owner and us. We want to make sure that he understands that although he's putting the money up and it's his property, we are the applicant, and it's our grant, and we have to follow our procurement policy, we have to follow general municipal law, etc., etc. So we're just trying to make sure we have that straight. Those conversations have been going well. We also, RF Khan, who again, as Jeff said, it's a gentleman he and I both knew from other worlds, and he ended up being perfect for this. I think he's done a tremendous job. He's gotten his arm around all of this, and while I may not be able to devote as much time, he's really focused on it. He developed an RFP for us to put out for seeking basically a civil engineering firm that would be the lead on this, and there would be some other consultants that would be tied in, especially with our minority and women-owned business requirement. We just haven't sorted that out yet, and we were still waiting on some confirmation of some details from Empire State Development. So unfortunately, that was a little bureaucratic and a little slow, but we've got it sorted out. We're hoping to have approval of an MOU and an RFP tonight, but because it just wasn't possible, It may wait till August. If we're looking to approve it beforehand, that would be one of the few reasons we would call a special board meeting together. Okay, that's that. But soon we'll get through all the kind of not fun legalese stuff, no offense to, but then we'll get to really starting to work on the property project. Next is EPA assessment grant. You may recall, you may not, because I had to make sure with Kelly, I definitely told the board, right? But we applied for an EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, assessment grant for brownfields, contaminated properties throughout the county.
Yeah.
Dovetails perfectly with our shovel ready initiative, everything, because brownfields are a huge opportunity, really, if we can remediate them and bring some great projects. We won that grant, so congratulations. Yes, and you probably have the same level of nervousness as I do. We're gonna make sure we manage it. I think we probably will need someone like an RF Con again to kind of help get their arms around it, but it's a great opportunity. I'll be working with Orange County Planning Department, Ellen Sorensen, the commissioner there, the different municipalities, et cetera, et cetera. So, and again, it fits right in with what we're doing with Shovel Ready. So more of other people's money, using it in our initiative. Next, UTEP update, just a quick update on that. Sue and I met when we were at the New York State EDC conference in Cooperstown. We spent a couple hours together, I think, reviewing where I was with the UTEP review. You last saw an outline, and I fleshed it out. I've also identified other UTEPs that I want to copy. And now we're at the stage where I'm putting together kind of a cut and paste document that Sue is going to take that and develop our first draft, really. I'm also planning to meet with Anshin. Of course, they have oversight on UTEP, so we're going to sit down together and review that before we go too much forward on that. Next, Anshin update, speaking of, also on June 10th, Anthony, Brian Sandvidge, and myself presented to the Orange County Legislature's E&E Committee, the Education and Economic Development Committee. They had invited Anthony and Brian to come. Appreciate the fact that they did follow up with that, accepted that invitation right away and came. And I won't speak for them, but there were a lot of pointed questions. I asked some very good questions, I thought, from the committee. And overall, I will report that Anshin did tell that committee that we've been working very well together. We've been completely transparent and completely cooperative. So you all know that that's the case. That was our attitude from the very beginning. But it was nice that we work at the pleasure of the legislature. So good for them to hear that. And again, I appreciate Brian and Anthony being willing to go. Let me see what else on there. We did meet recently, Anshin and myself, to review our cost-benefit analysis process, how we use that MRB tool that was referenced earlier in the evening, and how that tool works. We actually have a follow-up Zoom tomorrow with one of the principals from MRB to dig further into how that tool makes those decisions, so they can understand exactly how really tight those analyses are. So I think it's going to be all positive. We did also discuss the ID's requirement for providing quarterly reports to Anshin, so we're getting a little more detail from them on that, what should be contained in those reports. And then we are expecting our first bill soon. Maybe not the most exciting item on here, but they did present their bill to the ID's office, and then it'll ultimately come back to us. So we'll see that soon too. And as I had said to them, frankly, we're a little more anxious about it because we don't know what to expect. We hadn't forecast for this, so it will be good to see. Next, website. We've made great progress with the website, working with our vendor, 88 Studios, Dean Brady, who we've worked, three of us have worked with quite a bit. They had a whole wireframe, which is kind of the architecture of it, and they've taken that now to development. So they're actually developing the graphics and all, it's all being fleshed out. The only thing I will say that's holding it up is branding. And I don't love this subject because it just hasn't worked out the way I'd hoped for. We made a considerable investment, and quite frankly, the core of people that I've had involved in that, because I don't want too many hands in the pot, no one's connected with any, including myself, with any of the now 6 designs we've had.
It's rather dismal.
It's, it's unfortunate. Those are sunk costs. I'm not thrilled, but I may consider a small additional investment with someone else to come up with some other ideas, because that's the only thing holding us up on launching a website, not to mention the rest of the rebranding we want to do. So more to come on that, but we may have to make that little additional expense. And lastly, I'm certainly not going to provide it now, but I do have summaries of the conference, New York State EDC conference I went to, and suited as well. And the prior conference at Albany, I never gave you that, so I'm going to provide those to you by the end of the week. I will mention that 2 of our colleagues in Orange County presented at the last conference in Cooperstown, Amanda Dana, our tourism director, and Connor Eckert from the OC Partnership. So they led their own respective breakout sessions with, so I just want to give them a little kudos on that. And lastly, you will see some of this month, but next month you'll see reports where we've had some additional IT costs. I did finally buy a new laptop, so I have that. We bought the Meeting Owl. We're going to invest in some additional equipment for recording and such. What else am I forgetting? It's a lot, but it's going to all be within budget. But it's a little bit of as a gentleman who's always looking at trending, it's gonna be a little bit of a blip here, okay? That's it, that's my report. Any questions?
Questions for Bill? Good report, Bill.
Excellent.
Thank you. Moving on to Governance Committee, I would just like to report, we held the Governance Committee for IDA as well on June 10th. Linda Muller, board member, volunteered to lead the review and revision process for both the bylaws and for our personnel policy. So we thank her for that. Bill also proposed 2 title changes for each Marty and Kelly. And also at Linda's suggestion, Bill drafted 2 new job descriptions for each of these roles. They're in our packet today and were emailed previously. We'll be looking for approval of those title changes and job descriptions later in this meeting. Lastly, Bill proposed a tweak to our local construction labor policy, which we'll also vote on in a bit, and Bill will explain that at that time. Any questions on Governance Committee?
No, thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you for saying so, Susan. Moving on to Finance Committee, Mark Green.
Just some quick highlights. Bill mentioned, some of the outliers on some of our budget versus actuals. First of all, kudos. We did receive some closing costs this month, so kudos to that. We also have finally, we are 100% now moving forward. Previous situations are now done and monies have been received, and so that was a nice addition. The other standout, really, IT support, building out the website was the additional cost. And then, should I talk about CDs now, or should I wait until we do the approval?
We have it
process?
listed down below on new business, so let's do it then.
Sounds good. Then that's really my wrap up as far as the finance goes.
Thank you, Mark. Questions?
No, I'm good, I went through it
Excellent.
carefully.
Thank you. You saw those points, I think Mark was pointing out. Concerning the May 2024 financials, the committee did recommend the board approve those, and we should take action on those unless there's questions. They were also in the board packet that was sent out last week. Any questions? A motion to accept those by Dean, second
I'll second that.
by Susan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All approve, motion carried. And then the May, June payables. And we also have a couple that, since we canceled our July meeting, we should add to that list in the approvals. They were reviewed, and maybe just mention those 2 extra ones, Mark.
Yes, so the ones that stood out were was the website. We're what, phase 1 of the website?
Yep.
So that was, additional money spent. Legal, again, wrapping things up. That also stood out. And then, just maybe some incremental increase, because of more broadcasting and such. But the rest of the costs seem to be fairly in line.
Jeff, were you asking about the additional authorization of 2 payments?
Yes.
I apologize.
Yep, no problem.
No,
I wasn't sure.
You're not the only one that forgets, sir. So we do have to authorize 2 payments for July since we're not meeting. One is the monthly retirement that goes out, and then the second one is to our
The
consultant.
second of 2 payments to RF Khan for his work on Fast New York, completing his $2,500 project.
So that's $12.50.
$12.50, correct.
Questions on those?
No, I'm good.
So a motion to accept those payables, including the 2 that will come in June.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Susan, second to that motion by Dean. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And now the certificate of deposit investment option that the committee recommended, please. Mark.
All right, so this is, again, I'll go through it. It gets a little wonky. Any questions? But we have a T-bill that's coming due tomorrow. Just like we did with FC, the recommendation is that we reinvest that into a 9-month Treasury with JP Morgan at 5.07%. That means that'll come due in March of 2025, which means, again, we have our 3 tranches. One will come due September of '24, one will come due January of '25, and now March of '25. So any projects that may come up, we only will have a 3-month lag, and we should be more than covered. And so what we are going to do with the one that comes due tomorrow, that'll be just over $1 million. Remember, we had one that came due, I forgot the name of it, but it was from, 2 or 3 years ago, the one that was getting
Yeah,
very,
that old one.
very
Connect
small.
One.
Connect One, that is finally off our books, but we decided to leave that in our checking account so we could marry it with the one that's coming due tomorrow, plus now the 400,000. So we are going to take 800,000 out of our 1.2 million checking account, marry that with the 1 million bill that's coming due tomorrow for a $1.8 million treasury bill for 9 months at 5.07%. Any questions?
So you're gonna leave about 600K approximately in the operating account,
It's actually about 400K.
400?
But we did discuss that in detail, and we're comfortable with that.
Okay,
Even with some potential Fast New York expenditures, we may have to float on behalf of the owner, probably not, but just in case that we think we're comfortable there.
well, in 3 months, we'll have interest from,
Not just interest.
But a whole-
You'll have in 3 months, on September 5th, you'll have 2.5 million.
yeah, and I'm just thinking, keep the principal base in there, but if we need to float off the interest that we've received, it keeps that a little bit more liquid, and we still have a nice base for that CD.
As they say in the inheritance game, do whatever you want with the interest, never touch the principal. But that's a
I like
story
the
for
way you
another day.
think.
So there.
Did you want to mention the fees?
So,
So we-
yeah, so when we're investing, if we're going into a T-bill, we're actually gonna invest like $2,000 to $3,000 more because there are some fees when we invest in a treasury bill versus a CD.
It's got a heavier load, that I know.
But the difference between the return on the CD and right now, the return on the CD versus the treasury bill more than offsets that. So it is worth going with the treasury bill right now in this particular tranche.
The current markets are calling for T-bills way over CDs.
Yeah.
And Mark likes round numbers, so we're gonna take a little.
I am what I am.
bit of the fee. If everybody understands that CD discussion, we can use a motion to approve that unless there's more questions.
I'm willing to make that motion.
Thank you,
I'm very
Susan.
comfortable with it.
I'll second. Second by Dean. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Approval of staff title changes that I referred to in the governance committee report. Bill?
Yes, great, thank you. Yes, again, we've been, for 3 years, rebuilding this organization, rebuilding the staff, rebuilding our structure and all of that. I can't say enough, of course, about Marty and Kelly, the work they've done to get us to where we are. Well, it was time to really update their titles. Those are old titles, out of date, doesn't apply to the workload they have, the level of work that they do, et cetera. So I was looking to update those. Did a lot of research, looking at other ideas, had conversations with the two of them, came upon these titles, and then in the governance committee meeting, Linda Muller actually very astutely said, if we're gonna approve new title changes, there should be job descriptions that are up to date as well. So she's totally right. Was a lot of work, but I'm really glad I did it. Kind of helped me, I think, separate our work, their work, and the rest of us. It was really helpful. So Kelly's new title would be Director of Administration, reporting to me. And you have that updated job description. The other for Marty Barras is Finance and Compliance Manager, reporting to Kelly. You have these copies, again, you had them in your packet, but there's, after having Sue review it and give me some of her feedback, I also sent it to EA Staffing Services. Anything in blue was changed in this last iteration here, but still essentially the same for the most part. There's a lot of detail there, I will admit to it. And we even have the detail of saying who they work closely with for certain responsibilities. But frankly, for again, where we were coming from and where we're going as an agency, I like that level of detail. I think it again helps us delineate all the different roles. So again, there are some pieces with some feedback from Sue, again in color there, but I'm hoping that there's anything else we want to add or change that we could approve this given those changes. That's what was my hope, because I really have been anxious for a while to get these titles in place.
We don't have anything in blue. in
Well, I
our-
looked at, there's a couple, not much.
There's not much.
Yeah,
There's
Okay,
not much.
mine, I'm not
It's-
seeing anything
I
in
didn't see
blue.
it.
On
Anything.
finance and compliance manager, you should see it under
Yeah.
second half of the page,
Kinda
compliance.
black.
Oh,
in
okay,
if
yep,
you're
now I'm
colorblind.
seeing it, okay.
We tried to figure out
I
how
didn't
to
see
do
it
it.
at first either.
Yeah, there's not much though, as you see.
Yeah, no, I had read the other one in there, so I didn't.
Any discussion on those? Questions?
Long overdue, that's my
Yeah,
comment.
Thank you.
yeah, these things, this should be like a living
No,
document.
I didn't take it that way.
This should be a living document that is reviewed on a regular basis.
Have
Because
Kelly and
jobs
Marty
do
seen them?
change.
I didn't think they needed to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they did, they provided the feedback.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. Thank you for your help on these as well, Sue. If there's no other comments, questions, I would ask for a motion to accept these, approve these staff title changes.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mark, second by Susan. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, the same? Motion carried. Excellent. The local labor policy revision, which I also referred to in the governance committee report.
Yeah, so this is another, I would say, overdue tweak. It's something that I've been hearing from all of our local labor monitoring firms. I've heard it from our projects. We originally had a local labor policy that said 85% of your construction labor on a project has to be local. Meaning you count everybody up, 85% of the workers on there have to be, which would allow you to maybe like heavily load, let's say excavation and some other stuff with local people, and then have some contracts where you don't have any local people. So we made it more stringent, certainly not this administration, but I think in 2016 or shortly thereafter, where we changed it, and it's unique. Low-key Drill, who does monitoring, labor monitoring all over the states, really the primary thing they do, they said no other IDs have this, what we added, which was to say that it needed to be now 85% of every subcontract, every sub that there is. And it's just, it's not that I don't believe in it, because I do. I think you all know I really believe in the spirit of this policy. We need to uphold it. But it's been onerous, it's been difficult for projects to be in compliance with it because of that difficulty. We discussed it at length. Dean, of course, was representing labor, was involved in that discussion. We're making this slight tweak. It's just a one sentence where it's no longer the subs, but it's the primes. So, and there can be multiple primes on a job. So let's say electrical is one prime. It's all the subs under that prime of, say, electrical in this case. It's 85% of that whole prime in subs, not each sub being 85%. So it just cleans it all up a bit, much more doable. I think we looked at it with Angela. I think you took a look at it as well. So
Yeah.
it's something that I think will fix things going forward, and I'm hoping it's something you
The
support.
only thing I want to add to it, which I think is important, is that some of the subs were such small work, was only one or two people.
Exactly.
And to get them to, because there was specialty items, whatever, so it made it easier for everyone. Then we had to come back and have meetings to exempt that.
Exactly.
Because of that, to keep everything moving forward and documented properly, so I think it's going to.
That's a great point. One was Il Limoncello, a project in Goshen, their boutique hotel. They have one contract, right? I think maybe there are four men on it in this case, and if all four aren't, local, then three doesn't count. It's at 75%. So that's where it is. I don't think it's going to disrupt how much local work is done here. We're still committed to that. Our projects know that. Our monitors know that. It's just going to make it a little cleaner again. Also, something that's overdue. We want to clean up for a while.
I just have a question. Has Belzer, our current monitor, looked over this change, and what are their thoughts on it?
I discussed it with them, absolutely, they agree. As does Lan, and we don't use Loki Brill, but I'm in connection with them. They were hired by Royal One, for example. I talked to them about it as well. And they're the ones that kind of raised it initially with me, as well as some projects over the last couple of years.
Yeah, well,
But
if
they
this
agree.
reduces the need to come in for waivers, I am all for it.
I bet.
Well, yeah, but Dean, since you were involved, I mean, this makes sense to you?
Yes,
In this?
yes, because there's some subs that there's only one or two people, or three, it's a specialty,
Okay.
small specialty item, and as long as collectively it was 85%, that's the goal of those systems.
Okay.
So we should take action if we're ready, and someone will care to take a motion unless there's any other discussion or questions.
I will make that motion.
Motion by Mark, second to that motion.
I'll second it.
You're a good motioner today, Susan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you for leading that effort.
Sure.
Bill.
Thanks all.
And lastly on our agenda is the Orange County 2025 Quality of Life Study. And that's being proposed by Vision Hudson Valley. They came to us previously with the initial thought, but I'm impressed with where you've gotten to on the thought process, the budget, other commitments, and I'll let Bill introduce.
That's what I was gonna say.
Sorry about
Appreciate
that.
them being here again. Again, James Samuelson, chair of the board still, right, of Vision Hudson Valley. Katie Lancelotti, who's CEO, and Dr. Erica Hackman from the board as well, and really focused on this project. We asked them last time they appeared, we want to see a budget, final budget, even though they were working on it at the time. What other funding commitments did they have? Is there could anyone kind of give testimony or testimonials, of why it's been valuable? And they've come back in spades with that. Again, the report that was in your packet, I think, is terrific. And then they've also, it's provided a budget. They've talked about other funding sources they've either have commitments from or that they're working on. And then they provided, which I printed for you today, a number of support letters from Assemblyman Brian Marr, from Orange County Tourism, who recently rebranded, by the way, you'll see their new logo there. Garnet Health Foundation, Walden Savings Bank, who is going to be supporting it. Lane Associates, one of our local labor monitors, who utilizes the report. Orange County Community College, SUNY Orange, and the Orange County Partnership. So, and they really, again, provide testimony saying how valuable the data that's in this report is. So, I'm really pleased that they've come back, given us everything we need. And if you want to ask anything, or did you want to, anything you wanted to say, it's up to you folks.
Yeah, I just have a few brief
Sure, please.
comments. Yeah.
Go for it.
Sit one, sit.
Why don't you stand, so the meeting owl can see you at least.
He's fine.
Look into his eyes. Really.
So thank you for the opportunity to present again. So after our last meeting, you guys did come back with comments like Bill and Jeff said, and I feel like with the packet and then with the additional support letters, we have fulfilled what has been asked of us so far. We're of course here to answer any further questions. Just to briefly recap, the Quality of Life Report Card is a publication divided into 8 categories plus a demographics section. Each category consists of several indicators used to determine quality of life. We compare our standing to other counties and the 7-county Mid-Hudson region, New York State, and wherever possible, municipalities. We compare them to one another. We then determine if we've improved or deteriorated since the previous report card. The report card also provides demographics and in-depth information about our municipalities and the county as a whole. So like Bill mentioned, you have copies of letters of support from the Orange County Partnership, SUNY Orange, Lane Associates, Garnet Health Foundation, Orange County Tourism, Assemblyman Brian Marr, and Walden Savings Bank. So all of these 2 letters do speak to how the completed report card will serve as a critical economic development tool. Since our last meeting, so just to update you briefly, we did have a meeting with SUNY Orange as well as Mount St. Mary College about the student research team and the faculty member that will be a project manager from Mount St. Mary College. We gave an updated budget of what it would be for the research to be done by all students from both colleges, and we're sitting at roughly a cost of just under $60,000. You have a copy of our timeline as well as the potential investors and who we already have committed so far. So tonight, in our letter, we did send along with the packet, we are asking the IDA's help for the amount of $20,000. We do hope we can continue to work with the IDA like we did on our previous report cards, and we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Questions?
Couple questions.
Yeah.
So it looks like you've got committed so far 10, 15, 20, 25, and you have another potential 5, that makes 30. You were asking 20 for us, that's 50. That leaves you short close to $10,000.
Yes. This is just what we've had committed so far, but we are still engaging with others and having the conversation. It's just not listed.
Have you approached Orange County Citizens Foundation?
We were the Orange County.
Not them.
The name
Sorry.
changed.
Sorry,
no.
the Orange County Partnership.
The orange candy, yes. So when I initially brought this up with Maureen, she did say when we have the sponsorships together, kind of what we're looking to ask for, to send it her way. So we are just finalizing those now, and we will be sending it off to the partnership.
Okay, because I can't see us giving money if they're not going to, I'm being quite honest. If they're not willing to also pony up, I don't think we should, because we should be working in connection, and they're gonna profit from this just like anybody else.
We will definitely reach out to them, yes.
I thought they had planned to make an investment, is my understanding from their CEO. At what level, I'm not sure, not at the level we're considering.
Well, and that's, again,
I think to Susan's point, the fact that they're not on the list, like there's one or two other people that are at least, contemplating it or what have you, the fact that they're not even serious enough to be on that list is disconcerting.
but there's a letter here saying that we should,
Yeah.
and that kind of bothers me. I'm a very, tell it like it is kind of person.
Because I think you look at it two ways.
Bite my tongue.
I think you two ways. Either that they're willing to, whatever the cost is to finish up, you know what I'm saying, if they're short, look at it that way, or that they're looking to give as less as possible, right, depending on who else pays, so,
Well, they're both the same thing.
you know.
Those are both the same goals, is to say, go out and get as much as you can from everyone else, and then we'll give you $3,000 to get you over the
If
top.
I could just jump in, I mean, we're here coming to you first because you were our biggest partner last time. And so we're sort of giving you the first stab at it. So we honestly have not asked Orange County Partnership for anything at this point besides a letter of support. Based on what we have right now, we put together funding packages for each of our sponsors. And so we've just finally formalized that, and that'll be sent out probably this week.
Yes.
So to say that they're not going to is sort of premature because they've not been asked.
Well, I would like to see that from my perspective first before, we have very limited budgets, so, $20,000 is a lot of money to put out on a product where a lot of this data is available on the internet.
Right, but we are putting it together.
I get what you're saying,
I mean,
you're
it's a
combining
lot
it to make it an easy resource.
Right.
$60,000 is a lot of money. $20,000 from this organization is 1/3 of it. And again, I think if other organizations through the county say so boldly that they are going to be profiting from having this collaboration of data, there should be more that are willing to pay in for it than just the idea.
I don't disagree with you, Susan, but the last time I think the IDA contributed 50,000.
Yes.
And when you first came to us, we asked for basically exactly this, a commitment from other people, a budget, a real thought process on how it was gonna happen. And I would compliment you on where you're at now. And I would also expect, but I'll put it in the form of a question, that you have very good confidence you can find that last 8,000 and whatever it is at $680.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, I'm sorry, were you done, sir?
Yes.
I think the last time you all were here, I asked what your vision was, because I think prior, it was all about the books.
Yes.
And I think my question was, are we going to move to more of a interactive approach, so that way it'd be a little more user-friendly? I love books, but is that still the goal of your all?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
To
We're
make this-
exploring different
Platforms.
platforms, yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be able to, that work with nonprofits, so that we can get it for, a lesser value than a full corporation would have to purchase the modules for. So yes, we're looking at a bunch of different ones right now, and that is the goal, yes.
Makes sense. Could I ask for maybe 2 or 3 examples how you think different entities in the county and the Hudson Valley will use this information to the benefit of the residents of the county.
And if I may add to that, especially economic development, if you can kind of
Yeah,
make
good
that
point.
tie in, thanks.
Good point.
Yeah, so I know the majority of the letters did speak to how it would affect economic development, but I know from Walden Savings Bank, they wrote how it would be used to look at what potential new markets there are and what markets to serve and what they are not serving at this time. I know tourism talked about the inflow of dollars that would come into the county because they would have a better understanding. I'm sorry, I'm just reading through some of their comments. They said it a lot better than I'm stumbling at this moment. But I know, Land looked at it because they service a lot of schools, and with 60% of their business coming from K through 12 education sector, so this would be vital for them to help with the growth, really see where the schools need help and to expand, so they would be involved in that area. And I know we did speak about the partnership, but they use it for the benefit of attracting businesses, so creating jobs through getting businesses to come here, and so making Orange County more of a place to live, work, and play, which I know is the state's model.
I have also used it for responding to RFIs, requests for information from specific projects.
Yeah, good
Say we
point.
need to know this, that, and the other, and refer to it, so.
And I can speak on behalf of SUNY Orange, or OC, or Orange County Community College, whatever you call it is fine. So I serve as Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs and Student Services at the college. And so there is a letter of support in your packet as well. But just from my perspective, from an instructional perspective, it's an incredible tool for our faculty to integrate into instruction, really all across the college. One of the things that I don't know that we shout out often enough is that over 70% of our graduates at the college live in Orange County upon graduation. So they stay here. They're contributing to the economic viability of our county for potentially the rest of their lives. So for us, it's really a long-term investment in the people that are going to live in the county and take care of us and build things for us and all those sectors. So.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to say, if I could jump in as well, in my business as an engineer writing environmental impact statements, a lot of it is data driven on demographics. So this, I've used this, the report card all the time, looking up data that goes into those environmental impact statements.
And Assemblyman Brian Marr wrote a very
One second, sir.
Powerful impact statement and how he used it personally when he was a mayor in the village of Walden, and how he used it to better serve the residents and how it impacted their quality.
And I'll say the Assemblyman called me a couple of days ago and wanted to say he was going to put this together, and he was very much behind this, and really was just encouraging us to. So I asked him to, just do as he did. Sue Walski, I'm sorry, just for the record, I'll note that Laura McMahon from Vision Hudson Valley Board has joined us. Hi, Laura, thanks for joining us. Sue Katzoff? I'm sorry, that's your job.
Yeah,
No, it's fine.
I just wanted to mention, I'm sorry, if the board is concerned that there is gaps in funding to reach the total amount required to undertake the report card, if the board is so inclined to support this economic development tool, you can authorize the payment of the money, but it would be subject to them providing Bill and the chair proof that they have acquired commitments for the balance of the funding. So you wouldn't advance any money until they knew they had enough money to do the entire project.
I think we should be prudent, obviously, but we're making less of an investment than we did in the past. And to me, this is, if this is as valuable as we all understand to the county, then I would support paying out. I may not like what another agency or whatever does, but I want to do my part on this behalf of this agency.
I like that thinking, Dean. I think
that's my fault.
this is an appropriate point to show a little
I agree
leadership.
with you. I'd be aggravated, but I don't want to make my
Because
decision based on
evidently
what
these
they
other-
do. I don't know that their politics or whatever, and I don't want to.
There's four other
That's my opinion.
entities here that committed before they even knew what we would do,
Sure.
for sure. Although we inferred we would
It's a
seriously
great point,
consider
too,
it.
but I don't.
Mark?
I think, we met last time, and for me, there are several factors. One, the commitment that is expected from us is 40% of what it was last time. Two, everything we've asked has been given to us. And three, we are also here, from my perspective, agree or don't agree, but we are here for the betterment of the overall county. And this is one way that I think, will it be an equal distribution of benefit? Probably not. I don't know if we're gonna get 20,000 more benefit than someone else, but I think our goal for everything we do is for the betterment of this county. So, I would suggest moving forward with Sue's statement saying, we would like, with all due respect, we're not gonna write a check unless it's gonna happen, but that
I don't
would
want
be
you to
my
write a
opinion.
check unless it's gonna happen.
So,
And I think Sue previously has explained that we can support this through the IDA
Yes.
assets.
Yes, doesn't have to be OCFC, the beginning through ID.
I'm
So-
still not comfortable. I mean, Garnet just announced that they were laying off 26 people in a multi-million-dollar budget cut because they can't, afford to keep these positions open. They're pledging $5,000, but you don't know if that's gonna come to fruition.
But that's irrespective. If we say that, that's up to them.
Right.
They've got to come up with
I-
that.
Get it
That's
somewhere else.
Somewhere else, I guess, or.
To me, it's, in these economic times, I gotta tell you, it's too big of a push for me. I'm just being honest. A $10,000 commitment, okay, but 20 grand is a lot of money.
We have $9,791,000.
I understand that. A lot of that's gonna
We're
go
not-
for shovel ready.
I think that's an incorrect statement, a lot of it, some of it, yes.
Especially with more of these sources coming in,
We're-
yeah.
We're, in our current shovel-ready project, we don't expect to spend a whole lot of money because of the grant and the landowner.
Listen, I gotta be myself and I'm just not comfortable with it.
You should be.
Well, effectively, Susan has veto vote with 4 members here. We need
You're absolutely
all
right.
4 to vote in favor, right, Sue? For this to move forward, or we don't?
The majority of the quorum, or majority of the full board?
Ask you the tough
I
question.
should-
You need, I
I
don't
don't
believe
care
it's
which one it is. It's got to be board.
a major,
Go ahead, Sue. Go ahead, Sue Katzoff.
what did Mark say?
I said, to be perfectly honest, Susan, I don't care what you say.
I
that
think-
It should be the majority of the board.
That's 2 months.
All right, well,
Right, but I think that's the answer anyway.
Okay,
Okay.
me too.
Makes sense.
You're right on.
I will confirm.
I'm disappointed because I think the board will confirm.
I agree.
And we don't plan to have our July meeting, so that's a 2-month delay in our formal answer to you guys.
I understand that, sir, but we cannot have a scenario where we bully somebody into changing their opinion. So,
We expect that.
I'm sorry, this is gonna take 2 months, but anything less than that, quite frankly, then I vote against, to make it that much simpler for
Thanks a
you.
lot.
I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna have a scenario where we do this. That is against everything
We all-
That
frankly,
was
with-
not my intention
I know
to
it is.
bully,
I know.
and I don't appreciate that
Yeah, I'm
reference.
sorry. I'm
We're
very
having a
sorry.
discussion.
Yeah,
I'm very sorry.
I
That's
think
not
that
what I
was,
meant to
I
imply.
think,
That's not what I
You
meant
said
to
it,
imply.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think that was well good, but I don't think you're gonna be able to do that to Sue anyway, no matter
Exactly.
what, so it wouldn't matter.
I'm just
So it
pointing
is what it
out
is.
what I see as the facts, and I guess we'll table this discussion for today, if that makes
I
sense.
think we have another choice, yeah.
That's fine, you can table it.
We definitely would have it on our August agenda, The thing I was gonna say, in closing the meeting, we canceled our July board meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is August 21st.
21st.
There's a chance we'll hold a special meeting at some point. I suppose we could consider adding this to that agenda if we did schedule a special meeting, but.
The only reason I wouldn't want to is if, as we've done with special board
Oh,
meetings
right,
before,
yeah.
if we just get our 4 so we have it, you know, we can do it, then we're in the same boat as we had here. So that may affect how, again, I'm always considerate of everyone's time. That may just
Yeah.
change how I may just ask everyone to come for that if we need to have a special board meeting. But worst case, yes, August 21st.
So in the meantime, we will approach Orange County Partnership and see where we go there, and maybe we'll have an answer for you
Mhm.
That'd be
by the
great.
time we come
I
back.
guess, are we still open to questions?
Sure.
Of course.
Does this blow up your timeframe? Can you survive?
We were hoping to get underway this summer with the focus groups, because we would like the students, as they come back to school in September, to get started on this project. So, I mean, it makes me a little nervous, but I don't think it kills the timeframe.
I have a suggestion then. If, Sue, if you're comfortable with the 10, can we approve 10 for them to get going, and then we'll do the rest the next time, if that's the case?
That's actually very fair. Good,
I
good.
don't know, I mean,
That's
if
great.
she's comfortable with that, and then if she's not comfortable moving forward, that's something the full board could add to finish the 10, and they could keep their wheels, moving along, but that's another question, I guess.
I would acquiesce to that, with the caveat, again, they have to be able to receive all their
Okay.
funding.
That's fine, I wasn't sure. which
Regardless of
way.
what we do in addition potentially.
Right.
Okay, then I apologize, I didn't realize that.
It's a great suggestion. Sue, Sue, that'll work, right?
Can I make that motion that we approve?
Yes, sorry, I was giving you,
Can I make the motion that we approve $10,000 for this, and then we can revisit in August?
I would second that.
With proof of further funding.
With proof of further funding.
We have a first and a second. Any other discussion on the motion?
No, I'm good with that.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
4 in favor. Thank you for that idea. The motion passes at the $10,000 level.
Thank you very much.
Based
I
on-
appreciate it, you guys.
Funding from other sources to satisfy any outstanding balance.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for everything.
Thank you for coming.
Let's catch up live again in the next couple of days. Please, thank you. Thank you, Laura.
I did mention.
thank you, have a good night.
You too.
I did mention our July 17th meeting where the IDA board is canceled, as
Yes.
well as the finance committee meeting for that day, making both of those next scheduled meetings for August 21st. And I would like to thank our staff over the last month since the last, actually 6 weeks since the last board meeting. I know it's been busy with work on the Fast New York project, as well as answering, responding to questions from our monitor. I believe it's some extra workload there. It's good that ARF is on board to help with the Fast New York project, and we'll give you a month off on board meetings.
We'll take it.
That's a special bonus.
I think we'll all take it.
So, thank you. Any other comments, questions, thoughts for today's meeting?
I would like to publicly state I'm very sorry.
Okay,
I did
well,
not, I certainly,
Apology accepted, thank you.
that is the last thing I would want to do,
Okay.
is to make that accusation.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that, Mark.
And I would like to ask, moving forward, previously we've gotten, but I don't see it here, is we get a written synopsis of the chairman's and the CEO's report.
Usually mine, with my personal situation last week, I couldn't do it in time for the packets to go out. I don't know that we do that for
I haven't done it
president's report.
for mine, I could consider
You
that.
want some
if-
bullets at least from
Only
them in
because
advance?
I'm a very visual,
Yeah.
Yes.
so hearing, particularly since I don't hear that great,
Agreed.
it helps me to be able to read through it.
Mhm.
I'll actually summarize mine in writing again now, just it'll be after.
I actually
after
made a
Sue.
note to ask Bill to do that.
Definitely.
That would be good for these bills.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
I
I'll-
know you've done it.
And I have been,
So,
this was an
I actually
anomaly
made a
this
note.
month now.
Yeah. It just makes it easier for me
100%.
personally.
Well, to me, for me, it keeps me like in line that, previous meetings, what we've done. moving
Absolutely.
forward.
Exactly.
So, but that.
Definitely.
Myself too, I try to go back and look at the previous one to see what outstanding issues are there, so.
I'll be back on track next month. for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll try to do mine too.
Just like, it doesn't have to be a lot, just your
Mhm.
bullets in there, so I have a point of reference.
Sure,
For sure. More than fair. Thanks.
makes sense. Anything else for today's meeting?
No, I'm good.
Thank you all for being here. Sue, take care.
Do we need a
And
motion?
a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
By Dean, second. By Mark. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion
Carries?
carries. Yes, we're adjourned.